talking today with Matt Miller for ZDNet about the Nubia Watch. And Matt, this is really a cool device. A lot of people probably have not heard of this particular device. And obviously that's what you're going to talk about here today, some of the specifics, kind of a futuristic almost a device. I'm not really even sure of the specifics. That's why you're here to talk to us about it, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really, so it's the Nubia Watch. It's currently on Kickstarter. It has about a week left or so, but this is just kind of a glance of it.
Yeah.
It's called a Nubia Watch, but it's really more of a bracelet. It is pretty large, pretty wide, and it doesn't fit quite like a watch. But let me talk a little bit about it because it's pretty cool. It's really more of a technology demonstration of what the future can bring, right, in wearable technology. And that's kind of why I agreed to check it out. And the one thing is, right now there's still some $199 options for this watch on Kickstarter. Then there's $229 options. I think the full price is like $400, which isn't that bad for this kind of technology. So the key thing there really is, it uses a 4.01 inch bendable. I don't know if you can see me. I'm actually bending the display. It's a foldable display that wraps around. And it runs from the top of the watch, there's the face, and then down around the side. So it's running down the sides of you. When you put it on, it runs down the sides of your wrist.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's kind of interesting when you go through the apps, there's kind of an app launcher, and as you scroll up, it rolls around all of the watch there. And the nice thing about it being flexible is, I don't know if you can see the way it works, but it flexes and kind of tightens up just to your wrist.
Right.
And it's touchscreen. So there's one button to go back home, and then you swipe through just like a touchscreen, right, left, up, and down. There's a few apps in it. There's some health apps. There's call support for your connected phone, text messaging. A heart rate monitor is on the back of it. There is a heart rate monitor. It can monitor your heart rate 24/7. It's a sleep monitor as well. Compass, schedule, some of the basics like that. There's some fun things, there's a marquee. Here's the Matrix marquee, and it just kind of, scrolls through. These can be customized, so you can put words and all this kind of stuff, just kind of to attract people to your wrist, right?
Your wrist.
But it has an accelerometer, gyroscope, pressure sensor, the heart rate sensors in there, Bluetooth 4.1 for connectivity. It does have GPS, so it has GPS, GLONASS, BIDO. So you're going to get those GPS satellite tracking capability in there. The battery life, they say, is up about 7 days. I've used it for a week, and I am seeing about that. Charging time is 85 minutes. Let's see. It is powered by a Qualcomm Snapdragon Wear 2100 processor. So there is abilities to update it and do other things with it as well. But it's just kind of a cool technology and kind of a cool look, right? You can have phone calls come in, and you can answer them on the watch itself with your connected phone, and do a lot of the similar smartwatch things that you would do. The limitations that I'm seeing is there's a smartphone app, but there's basic functionality. So like my sleep tracking, you can go in there, you can tap it, it will show you the details of your sleep, but there's not much else you can do with it. It doesn't tie into any other services like Strava, for example, for your fitness and exercise. It's pretty much all within the Nubia Watch app. So there is some software work that can be done on it, but the hardware, especially as a Kickstarter, this is kind of not really the full shipping version of it. It's a pretty solid piece of hardware, and it does have IP54 dust and water resistant rating. So when I go running out in the rain, it's not going to die, which is kind of amazing with a foldable screen and technology. That there's a lot of screen here, and you're like, oh boy, that's so fragile, I can't even do anything with it. But with that rating, it is able to withstand the sweat and the rain and things like that.
Yeah. And speaking of sweating, when you are a runner, and I know you regularly are reviewing, different sports watches and things that you can wear when you're outdoors and sweating a lot. Is this going to be good for runs and things like that? I mean, you did mention us the heart monitor and GPS and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I went on 2 runs with it so far. The one thing, this is an American thing, but there's currently no ability to switch into system, SI units. So it's all metric.
Right.
So So I'm not really seeing, I'm like, is that my pace? Is that pace right? I have to do the conversion, but it does do all the tracking, right? And one thing that I've noticed, I've ran with it twice so far. The one thing I noticed is taking a while for the GPS to find the satellites and all that kind of stuff. I have to dive in and see what settings it's on because there may be different satellites it's searching for. But once it does get that GPS signal, it's been rock solid all through the run. It captures my heart rate, it captures my pace, elevation, all of that kind of stuff. But the only thing I would really like to see is in the smartphone app to have some conduit to Strava or some other external service where I like to consolidate all of my different wearables into one, one tracking service and things like that. But it's kind of a cool device, and it's a lot of fun to play around with. I don't know if I would actually buy it. Then again, at $200, I mean, it's kind of a fun little thing to have around as a technology demonstration and an extra, accessory, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, with the cool, like you said, running down the side of the wrist, that's something kind of different, and
Yeah.
for a nice conversation starter. And again, you said price point around $200, and this is up for about another week.
About another week or so on Kickstarter. I think maybe 2 weeks, and then it will go. It's supposed to ship to everybody in October at the full retail price and things like that. But I think I mean, the reason I agreed to kind of take a look at it was just because it's future technology, right? They're pushing the limits with a foldable OLED, and as we move to more and more wearables, I could definitely see something like this, becoming, if it had LTE in it, right? You could use that as your phone. You have maybe it's a bigger screen or smaller or whatever, but just using the technology of foldable OLED displays is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. It really is amazing. And again, I know you run a lot and have tried a lot of them out, though. It's really seeing how far these watches have come in the last just really even 2 years. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope it would motivate me more to get out, but some days, I don't know, it doesn't. All right. Well, of course, for much more on the Nubia Watch, make sure you check out Matt's full article on ZDNet. And we thank you for watching us here today.